Chantal.
And I'm Nicola, and we're the faces behind Agile Caribbean Link.
So today we just wanted to have a conversation about 3 LinkedIn hacks that have worked for us with our team.
So let's just get straight into it. As some of us can appreciate, being co-located, being in the same space on a day-to-day, it's far easier for communication to take place. We understand yes, what our meeting cadence is like, and we understand to a greater extent how it is that interactions will take place. Now, heading into a remote working space, I know that for me, there were a lot of questions like, what do I need to start with first? And I remember going on LinkedIn, and one of the first things that I saw was a post from Adaptivate. And it was just pretty much talking about how it is, what you need to do to start transitioning to remote work. And the first thing that they pointed out was you need to develop team remote working agreements. And so I remember one of the first activities that we did as a team was literally just heading to the whiteboard and start talking about, all right, so if we're working remotely, what does that mean for us as a team? Firstly, usually our stand-up starts at 10 a.m. Is it that we're going to maintain that 10 a.m. stand-up time? Is it that we need to make sure that even before stand-up time, everybody is on the call? Even about talking about the call, how is it that we're going to have that stand-up? Is it a case where we're going to have a video conferencing service? Are we going to use WhatsApp? Are we going to make regular telephone calls? What is it that we were going to use? And so we started trying to figure that out from early. Also, when you're in the office, it's easy for you just to turn to someone and say, hey, I need help with something. Transitioning to remote right now, what does that look like? Asking for help is not going to be as seamless. And so that's another thing that we try to incorporate in our agreement from early, just to say, hey, during X and X time, we know that we will make ourselves available. And asking for help is a matter of sending a message on Slack, sending a message via WhatsApp. I don't know from your perspective, Chantal, I think it would somewhat be similar, but what was the experience like for your team?
Yeah. So the experience is quite similar to yours. I think one other thing that we tried to discuss early was what tools are we going to use? And we knew that we could just figure it out as we went ahead. So we started with the bare minimum, knowing that, okay, we're going to need a web conferencing tool. And if that web conferencing tool can facilitate like sharing of screens, ad hoc chat messages and stuff, that would be perfect for us. And that actually worked with us as a starting point for us to just get started with working remotely. And then we just figured out the other tools as we went along. And as we went along, we also figured out how do we incorporate existing tools into our way of working. So, for example, using WebEx for stand-up, should we share our Jira screen? Seeing that we're used to having a Scrum board to do our stand-up. Those little things. I think the biggest thing for me was how do I transition working from the office to working at home to being a seamless experience and just maintaining that same kind of atmosphere and team spirit with working from home. That's the only thing I would add.
I think this is not a LinkedIn hack, but I think one of the things that I got from you early when you started trying to figure out your things, both of us were trying to figure out. But I remember when you mentioned that you leave the WebEx room open in terms of just allowing everyone to still have a space where you felt like you were all still in the same room. And it was just easy for you to just call out to each other in that space. And that space was made available from, say, 9 to 5 p.m. during regular working hours. And I thought that was really good because then it gave everybody on the team, developers and all, an opportunity where they still had a space where they felt like, hey, collaboration could take easily. I could see girls shout out in this group. And so I think that.
And I actually call it being virtually co-located. You're co-located, you're in the same space, and you can just unmute and just have a conversation with someone. And it doesn't have to be work related. And that's what I love about my team. They talk about ad hoc things, random things. They talk about something that happened in the news. They share a joke that they watched last night or something that's interesting on Netflix to watch. So it's good to have that same camaraderie and conversation going that you would not normally have in the office, being in the same space.
Yeah, agreed. I think the next hack that we wanted to look at was, I know, one of your faves from Andy Bones, Next Best Help. So talk us through what it looks like for you.
So transitioning into working from home, I thought it was important that I, as a Scrum Master, touch base with my team at a certain point in the day just to figure out, is everybody working fine? Is there anybody who's stuck? And they're staying stuck because they're at home by themselves working. So when we stumbled across Andy Bones' Next Best Help, it was a perfect opportunity for me to have that conversation with the team, or to change that check-in from being a normal conversation to being very focused. What's the best thing that has happened since we last? What's the next thing you're working on? And do you need any help? And that has helped the conversation to be quick, to the point, and useful for everybody to understand where I'm at as a team member, and if it is that I require some support to move forward.
Awesome. And I know that it has also helped with other team sessions outside of your team. I totally agree with you. That one is I definitely must keep from Andy. Big up.
Definitely. Definitely. And then we can move straight into Retrium's meetings that they provided. One of your faves.
So I remember one of the biggest tips that I got from the first session that I watched from Retrium was POST. And the POST means purpose, outcome, structure, and time. And it's as simple as trying to understand or outlining for your attendees to the meeting or participants, anything you want to call them, is why are we actually gathering here? Outcome, what do we expect to achieve? Structure, whether it is you're going to have presentations, demos, a PowerPoint, it's an open discussion, right? And time, how long do we anticipate that this will take? And we have found that it has helped significantly, because once we're having any sessions, so for example, Chantal and I are running some sessions now, helping some other teams to transition to an agile way of working. And we make it a point of our duty before each session, at least a day, we send out what the post is, what the purpose of the upcoming session is, what is the expected outcome, what is the structure that we're going to take, and of course, what the time is. What we have added to T as well is, so really it's POSTT. It's also tools, because we found that it would help if you knew that, hey, I'm coming on and I need to have access to, for example, Jira, or I need to have access to a fund retro board or something. So it also helps to set the context and the full expectation as to what is supposed to happen. How did it work?
And I would add too that we should also, if possible, share anything meeting related beforehand. So if it is that you have a document that you want your attendees to go through before, share it beforehand so everybody comes to the meeting or has an opportunity to come to the meeting prepared with questions or with an understanding as to what will be discussed, so that the discussion can be more fruitful. Because I remember one other tip that you've shared with me, Nicola, from one of the webinars that you watched, is to try and condense the meeting into like a set 45 minutes, for example, if you have the session booked for an hour, so that you have time to take questions or to even just wrap up early, allowing persons to go and, sip some water, take a bathroom break before their next session, because we know that some of us have packed meetings back to back to back to back, and that hasn't changed. We need to work out how we change culture. But, until then, how do we also make the times that we spend together more useful, more productive, and we have a conversation that we need to have early and quick, and we can come to some decisions and take action in quicker.
Completely agree. So those were our 3 LinkedIn hacks, but I know that Chantal has a bonus hack for you that she wants to share. So just go ahead, Shan.
Yeah, so the only thing I'd want to add to this whole conversation that we've had is just to remember to be human. Working from home means persons are dealing with the home element of life that they normally would leave behind between, 8 or 9 to 5. So how do you try to be human? How do you deal with an interruption when you're making a presentation and, your 3-year-old runs into the room in Pampers, screaming at the top of their voice for food, for example? How do you, as a participant, be human enough to say, it's all right, deal with your child, we can wait for 2 minutes, figure out what's going on there. But just remember to be human, be kind, check in on each other. It doesn't have to be in a formal setting. It can be a quick phone call. It can be a WhatsApp message just to say, hey, is everything good with you? Especially those persons who are living on their own, spend a little time, even if it's a 5 minutes or 3 minutes, have a conversation with them to make sure that they're okay and they're coping well with working from home.
Sounds awesome. So guys, not certain if you have any LinkedIn hacks that you'd want to share with us. So we'd love to hear from you. So you can share in the comments below, or you can even send us an email to the writing, that's THEWRITETING876 @gmail.com. We'll also be sure to share the email address on screen for you. And just share with us, how has it been for you transitioning to remote work? What has it been like for you and your team? What is working? What kind of experiments are you running? What hasn't worked? Because we also need to look at those, because of course from those we get lessons as to how we can improve. Any final words from you, Shan?
No, I just think we should just share whatever you have used that works for your team. Share with somebody else. You never know who may be out there struggling and is looking for something different to try. And another thing I would say is feel free to experiment. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Just try something else. So you can just, go buck wild and see what you can learn during this unique time that we're experiencing right now globally.
Yeah. Okay, guys. I think that's it for us today. Keep safe.
Talk soon.